Hey guys, I'm Billy Hume, and today I want to talk about the things that you as an artist, engineer, or producer should be doing when getting ready to work with a mixer, or the things that you should do while you're working with a mixer. I got some technical stuff, some details I'm going to go over, but first, I kind of want to go on a little rant based on my 30 years of mixing, things that I've seen, things that I've experienced that frankly made my job a little harder and made it harder for me to do a good job for my clients. When you're hiring a mixer, you're usually paying the mixer by the song. They're going to just charge you a flat fee to do the song. But that doesn't mean that the mixer has unlimited time to just keep working on your song day after day. We have schedules, and there is only a certain amount of time I can spend on your song mixing. If I like you and I think you're really cool, and you've been easy to work with, I'm gonna probably spend a little more time on it. But I'm gonna spend as much time as I possibly can within reason. And the reason I'm saying this is because you wanna make sure that when you hire a mixer, the mixer's actually spending all of their time mixing your song. You don't want the mixer fixing stuff that should have been already taken care of when it showed up. For instance, if I got to go through a track and hunt down track by track pops and clicks because somebody didn't put their fades in, didn't have crossfades in there, didn't have fades at the beginning and the end, that's time that's, for me, wasteful. Another thing that happens a lot is people send me sessions and things just aren't even named right. And I'm going to go in a little more detail about the whole naming thing. You got to put yourself in my shoes, right? I'm sitting here day after day staring at a screen, and I got these little names across the bottom, and I need to be able to navigate very quickly, right? If I can't read clearly what's going on, and it just adds up over time of looking for things because they're not named properly, it's a waste of damn time. Also, do not send multiple sessions for one song. Sometimes somebody sends me a Pro Tools session, it's got an instrumental and some vocals in it, and they send me a separate session with the instruments in it, and they want me to combine it. And sometimes you're at a different sample rate, or they're not synced up, and it's like, here's what's going to happen. I'm either going to call you and say you got to pay more money, or since I scheduled it for that day, it might put your session back 2 weeks. And then the third thing that happens is it just pisses me off. It just pisses me off, and I want to be excited about what I work on. Why make my job harder? You do your work, and you deliver to me what I need to mix, okay? Another thing that happens a lot is when you're exporting from a DAW, if you're going to send a mixer audio files, it makes every audio file a stereo track, even if it's mono. You know what? Take your time and export your tracks separately. Bounce them one at a time. It might seem like it's taking a little extra time, but you know what? The extra 30 minutes it takes you to do that is going to be worth it. I could go into all the technical reasons. Just trust me. If it's a mono bass track, do not bounce it as a stereo file to send to the mixer, okay? It's always a good idea to send a rough mix along with your files or your session files to the mixer for a couple reasons. The main reason being that it gives the mixer the ability to verify that he's got the right files in the right session because it's going to match up, hopefully, with what you've been listening to. It's also kind of good for me as the mixer to know what you've been listening to. It kind of informs me that what you've been hearing and what might be important to you or what you've been used to listening to. Another thing that's really, really, really important is when you actually get the mix, the first mix from the mixer, and you're going to listen to it, don't listen on computer speakers, okay? I mean, if you want to initially, that's cool, but make sure you're listening to it on a good system. And as far as listening to the mix, like when you're home listening to the mix, not only should you be listening to this on a good system, but you gotta quit listening to the rough mix at a certain point, okay? It's really easy to get attached to that. Even a crappy rough mix you can get very used to. And there's a certain point you just need to quit listening to it. Just stop listening to the rough mix and driving the mixer crazy. You can't like, hey, you did a good job, but I kind of like, it's like throw it away. Trust the mixer. And if you don't trust the mixer, you probably shouldn't have hired that mixer. When you're finally ready to send the mixer some comments or revisions on the mix, make sure to keep the communication simple and focused and very direct. Only one person in the band should be communicating with the mixer. You don't want a bunch of different people communicating at the same time. It's also very important that when you respond to that first mix, version 1, put all those comments in one email from the band. Also make sure that all the comments are in there. Don't send one email with some comments in there and then 2 days later send some more comments. He's probably already gone in there and worked on it, and then he's gonna have to go in there again. Once again, just wasting time, pissing people off. You know what I'm saying? If you've got specific things in the mix that you want to change, like, hey, in the second verse, or in this part, or this guitar part here, send a timestamp, okay? Look at the MP3 that you got, or if he sent you a WAV file, whatever player you've got, wherever this change is happening, 2 minutes, 22 seconds. Put that down. You have no idea how much time I waste when I'm trying to look for something and they haven't given me a timestamp, or they, for some reason, can't tell. Timestamps will save me a lot of time so I can focus more on working for you. When you get to the point where you like the mix, you've approved it, think everything is good, make sure to have the mixer also do an instrumental and an acapella of the mix. There's good reasons for this. One is that if you ever want anybody to do a remix, they're going to at least need that. They're going to need an acapella, you know, to redo it. But also, if you're going to license this thing for a TV show or a movie or something like that, there's a good chance you're going to ask for an instrumental. If you're going to ask for stems, make sure you know what it is that you want. Because from my point of view, when somebody says they want stems, I'm like, well, what do you mean? Because from my point of view, a stem is something that a movie mixer used to ask for many, many years ago. Nowadays, people say stems. They could mean anything from each track bounced down separately, which I charge extra for because that really takes time, or they need something for performances. You need to be very specific what you want on a stem. For example, you might want the drums, but the percussion separate. You might not have a guitar player, so maybe you need all the guitars on one stereo stem. Or maybe you just need all the keyboards in separate stems, or maybe they can all be together. But you need to know exactly what it is that you want. Because I can assure you, virtually every time I make stems for people, they never completely communicate with me. And I send it to them, and they go, oh, well, I actually needed... You know, it's just like, come on, man. Because that's something that's you're going to be charged by the hour for. It's not something that's included in the mix. All right. So I think I'm done with my ranting. Let's take a look at a couple technical things here.